You wake up one day and realize the version of you she met is not the version you turned into. Somewhere along the way you stopped being a man with a life and became a man orbiting hers. You didn't notice the shift when it happened. It was subtle, soft. It looked like effort. It looked like care. But underneath it was fear. Fear of losing her. Fear of disappointing her. Fear of being alone. That fear made you move faster, try harder, give more than you received. And every time you pushed, she pulled back a little farther. You felt it. You ignored it. You hoped she wouldn't notice how badly you needed her attention. But she did. She always does. Because women feel energy long before they respond to words. They sense when a man stops leading himself and starts chasing her validation. They lose respect the moment his mood hinges on their approval. And that's when desire slips. Not because you weren't enough, but because you stopped being the grounded, self-contained man who attracted her in the first place. You traded presence for pressure. You traded confidence for compliance. You traded your center for a chance at proximity. What you need to understand is brutally simple. Attraction dies when you abandon yourself. Women don't run from love. They run from emotional dependence. They run from men who make them the source of their identity. They run from the weight of being someone's entire purpose. You thought effort would secure her. You thought consistency would convince her. You thought sacrifice would prove your worth. But effort without boundaries looks like desperation. Consistency without reciprocity looks like chasing. Sacrifice without respect looks like weakness. This is the moment you accept the truth without fighting it. The old strategy failed because it came from fear, not strength. And fear is never seductive. Fear never inspires trust. Fear never builds desire. You don't reclaim attraction by doing more. You reclaim it by subtracting everything that made you lose yourself. By pulling your energy back into your own body. By remembering that you are a man with a life, a mission, a direction that existed before she ever showed up. The moment you stop begging for emotional scraps, you regain leverage. The moment you stop reacting to every shift in her mood, you recover your center. The moment you stop searching for signs, you start creating outcomes. This is the pivot. This is the internal click. This is the morning you decide to operate differently. You're not heartless. You're not cold. You're not detached out of bitterness. You're detached because you finally understand that your value doesn't come from being chosen. It comes from being grounded. And when a man returns to that groundedness, everything changes. She feels it. You feel it. The entire dynamic rewrites itself the moment you stop needing her and start choosing yourself. You put her on a platform and then wonder why attraction collapses. Worship creates pressure, not intimacy. When you elevate someone above yourself, you hand them control over your emotions. That power never feels good to the receiver. It feels like responsibility. People recoil from being crowned because crowns come with expectations. You become available for adjudication. Her choices start to decide who you are. When everything you do is designed to prove worth, spontaneity dies. You perform to win approval. Performance is obvious. It reads as insecurity. No one is moved by a staged devotion. Real connection happens in the ordinary moments when two people meet as equals. If one person is constantly proving, the other automatically rebalances into evaluator. The dynamic flips. She no longer sees a partner, she sees an applicant. The pedestal is a trap because it erases balance. Balance is the currency of desire. Without it, roles ossify. You feel obligated to be generous, she feels entitled to acceptance. You lose the mutual exchange that creates attraction. It becomes a flow in one direction. Attraction needs reciprocation. Without it, interest fades into complacency. You also make her responsible for fixing your insecurity. That's unfair and exhausting. A woman did not ask to be your therapist, mirror, or constant reassurance. When you rely on her attention to feel steady, you burden the relationship with a job it never signed up for. She senses the weight and responds like anyone would. She preserves her own freedom. Reframe your actions as choices, not sacrifices. Choices suggest agency. Sacrifices hint at bargaining. When you choose to give from abundance, your generosity carries dignity. When you give because you lack, your giving becomes currency priced by need. Shift from transactional devotion to intentional generosity. Make your time and affection deliberate. That change makes them valuable. The truth is blunt. People value what is not guaranteed. If your availability is constant, it becomes background noise, disappears. Desire needs contrast. Absence creates space for curiosity. When your presence is selective, your attention becomes noteworthy. Not games, proportion. Start demanding reciprocity without drama. Ask for actions instead of explanations. Watch behavior over promises. A person who truly cares will match energy. If she doesn't, you adjust accordingly. You don't negotiate your dignity for the illusion of connection. You recalibrate. This approach produces clarity fast. It forces truth into the open. Either she steps up or her priorities reveal themselves. Either she commits or she clarifies her limits. Either way, you get information you can act on. Better than wasting time on fantasies. Finally, remember that equal partnership is magnetic. Two rooted people bringing depth and boundaries toward each other create a force field. You don't need to dim yourself to make someone comfortable. You don't need to overperform to secure affection. Stand tall, speak your standards, and let her decide. The right woman will move closer because she wants to, not because you begged her to. Neutrality is not indifference. It is a deliberate refusal to let someone else dictate your inner climate. You stop swinging with every emotional gust she throws. You create a center that stays steady whether she messages or vanishes, whether she smiles or storms. That steady place is not absence, it is control. It signals maturity because emotion no longer hijacks your behavior. When you react less, you don't withdraw because you care less. You withdraw because you value stability more. Treat her mood as information, not instruction. A cold text becomes data. A sudden silence becomes a clue. Gather facts and respond with clarity, not panic. That change rewires how she experiences you. Instead of feeding drama, you diffuse it. Instead of matching volatility, you offer a calm that forces reflection. This state requires practice. It is simple but not easy. Stop reading meaning into every small shift. Stop inventing narratives to explain absent attention. Replace stories with reality checks. What she does, not what she says. Behavior reveals priorities. Words only matter when matched by action. Let actions be the ledger you consult. Neutrality protects your time and energy. It creates breathing room. When you are steady, you reclaim evenings and mental space that used to be surrendered to emotional urgency. You trade constant vigilance for scheduled presence. You return to routines that build you, training, work, friends, projects. Emotional discipline becomes your signal quality. People sense it and adjust. Some will respect it. Some will resist it. Those who resist are often the ones who benefited from your instability. They are used to getting reactions from chaos. When that lever is removed, they test you. Remain consistent. Tests evaporate when met with immovable composure. This posture is not manipulative. It is safety. It prevents codependency and preserves dignity. You are not cold by accident. You are cool by choice. That choice stops frantic explanations and unnecessary apologies. Speak once, clearly, and let your behavior follow without drama. Your silence carries intention because it sits on firm ground rather than impulse. Hold compassion alongside neutrality. Being unshakable does not mean being unkind. It means you refuse to collapse at the first crack while still offering empathy where it fits. You can be fair and firm. You can be present without being pliant. That combo creates respect more reliably than flattery ever could. Neutrality shapes your reputation. People learn that your responses are measured and your boundaries aren't negotiable. That reputation filters interactions. It draws those who match your steadiness and repels those who cannot. In practice, neutrality shows up as fewer impulsive messages, fewer frantic calls, and fewer emotionally charged debates. It shows up as paced replies, consistent routines, and decisions made from assessment, not alarm. It turns volatility into predictability and panic into patience. That transformation is the quiet engine of attraction. Need becomes irrelevant. Respect becomes inevitable. Stand in that calm and watch how connection rewrites itself around your steadiness. Show up from strength, not from need. Show up when it serves you, not from desperate need. Presence means you live a life that is full before she arrives. Your calendar, your workouts, your work, your friends, these are not placeholders. They are proof you are whole without her. That wholeness is magnetic. It signals that your attention is a privilege, not an entitlement. When attention is earned, it gains weight. Stop broadcasting availability. Stop announcing moves meant to secure affection. Instead, move from certainty. Speak with intent. Schedule your time. Protect your nights. When you decline without apology, you aren't punishing. You are preserving value. That preservation makes your presence rare and therefore meaningful. Presence requires boundaries. Boundaries are small rituals that defend your energy. They look like turning your phone off for 2 hours. They look like going to the gym before answering texts. They look like finishing projects before opening social apps. These actions say, drama aside, that your life matters. And people respond to that kind of consistency. Being present is not the same as being available. Availability is passive. Presence is active. One is hollow, the other is anchored. Presence commands attention because it implies control. You are not chasing, you are choosing. That choice is felt immediately. It brings curiosity instead of complacency. Stop swerving to accommodate every emotional wave. If you reshape your life around reactive impulses, you lose the structure that built you. Keep plans, keep promises to yourself, and let your interaction be an addition, not the axis. When she sees you prioritizing yourself first, she experiences security rather than power. Security is the soil where intimacy grows. Presence also means showing up fully when you do show up. Don't split your attention between a screen and a conversation. Don't text while you're dining with people who matter. Being present is the opposite of performance. It is authentic attention. Quality presence, focused listening, deliberate eye contact, undivided time, registers as rare and valuable because most people offer divided attention. This posture forces a reevaluation. She must choose to step into the life you've built or step out. That choice reveals priorities quickly. You are not denying connection. You are testing for alignment. If she values you, she will adapt. If she won't, you save months of misaligned effort. Presence also protects your emotional economy. It prevents the inflation of expectation that comes from constant availability. When you ration your time yet deliver quality, your exchanges become investments, not expenses. You accumulate trust by being dependable on the things that matter, not by being omnipresent. Finally, presence is attractive because it is authentic. People detect need. Need signals scarcity. Presence signals abundance. When you live as though your fulfillment is available inside you, attraction becomes a byproduct, not a pursuit. You no longer perform to be chosen. You operate as someone already chosen by himself. That stance creates space for someone worthy to step forward. That presence reshapes life permanently. Stop funding a one-sided emotional account. If only you are depositing, it's not a partnership. It's a solo mortgage on hope. Demand proof of investment. Not because you're harsh, but because you value your time. Require signals that match words. Actions reveal priorities faster than promises ever will. Refuse to rescue a pattern that drains you. When someone expects your patience as a right, they rarely treat it like a gift. Pull energy back until effort is reciprocal. That pull is not punishment. It is a test. People who care will stretch. People who don't will find excuses. Shift the benchmark from intention to evidence. Listen to what she does more than what she claims. A committed person rearranges priorities without theatrics. A casual person makes room only when it suits them. Learn to read the difference and act accordingly. Your response should follow facts, not fantasies. Set simple requirements for staying in the conversation. Ask for practical courtesies. Texts that show thought, time made for plans, consistency across weeks, not bursts of attention. Call these the baseline. If baseline isn't met, downgrade involvement. Baseline standards protect dignity and speed clarity. Make reciprocity the default condition. Give generously when reciprocation exists. Withdraw gracefully when it doesn't. Your withdrawal should be calm, not dramatic. Explain once with firmness. Then let behavior speak. People adjust quickly when consequences are reliable and measured. Teach preference, not punishment. Offer affection when alignment is present. Withhold it when alignment is absent. This is not cruelty. It is boundary-based love. You are willing to give, but not at the expense of your core needs. You are willing to stay, but not to be the only one staying. Use scarcity as an honesty tool. Limited availability forces investment decisions. If your time is abundant and constant, people take it for granted. If your attention is conditional and meaningful, people value it. Make your presence depend on match, not hope. Stop negotiating character out of fear. If she continuously fails to meet small standards, do not tolerate gradual erosion. Patterns compound. Small slights become habits. Address mismatch early. Small course corrections prevent large heartbreaks later. Value signals over speeches. Compliments and sweet talk are inexpensive. Consistent follow-through is costly. Notice who pays the price. If you're always paying, you're the only one invested. Exit that imbalance. Finally, accept the truth you gain from withdrawal. Stepping back clarifies intent. Absence reveals whether she steps forward or whether she waits for you to return. That clarity is priceless. When someone chooses to come after you, they prove more than words ever could. When they don't, you save yourself a life of chasing what never intended to stay. You will feel lighter when you stop subsidizing uncertainty. Your calendar will fill with projects instead of panic. Your nights will return to rest. This clarity accelerates growth. It attracts people who mirror your standards and lets go of those who won't. Hold back. Not to play, but to preserve who you are. Giving everything immediately makes you predictable and cheap. Save some of yourself for later. Reserve depth, devotion, and vulnerability for when consistency proves itself. That restraint sharpens value because scarcity has weight. Move slow on promises. Say less at first and show more over time. Early declarations burn fast and leave nothing to build on. Commit progressively. Let actions stack into trust instead of launching all in on hope. Slow commitment weeds out the casual and highlights the devoted. Guard your inner life. Your deepest fears, wounds, and longings are not first date material. Share them gradually after patterns appear. When you reveal carefully, each truth landed has meaning. When you unload too soon, truths become background noise and lose power. Keep standards non-negotiable. Decide what behavior you accept and what you won't. Make those limits simple, clear, and applied without drama. Hold them gently but firmly. Consistency in your standards signals integrity, not rigidity. Delay satisfaction. Pleasure and closeness should be earned through alignment, not demanded by impulse. Let intimacy accumulate like compound interest. Small reliable deposits create a stronger relationship bank than one big theatrical withdrawal. Control the tempo of availability. Be reachable, not instantly accessible. Return calls and messages with intention rather than reflex. When you respond thoughtfully, your attention communicates worth. Instantaneous replies become habitual and devalue your presence. Make timing a virtue. Plan your days with intention so your time has structure. If your schedule is full, your attention becomes a selective currency. People who value you will choose to negotiate for it. People who don't will drift away. Practice calibrated generosity. Give in ways that maintain your equilibrium. Generosity that empties you breeds resentment. Generosity that preserves you builds attraction. Match the size of your giving to the reciprocity you receive. Lean into mystery. You do not need to be fully known to be respected. Let curiosity do part of the work. When you're not completely transparent, others invest energy into discovering you. That investment creates emotional gravity. Test consistency with small requirements. Ask for simple acts, punctuality, follow-through, thoughtfulness. Watch how she responds when requested courtesies are made specific. Small behaviors predict long-term reliability. Learn to delay intimacy without cruelty. Withholding immediate surrender isn't punishment. It's prudence. It creates a healthy boundary between attraction and attachment. It forces both people to earn closeness rather than expect it. Cultivate self-contained value. Your identity should be rooted in achievements, friendships, and purpose. A man who builds a life for himself has less to prove and more to offer. That independence makes restraint natural, not reactive. Let restraint reveal character. When you hold back, you expose who is willing to meet you halfway. The ones who persist respectfully demonstrate alignment. The ones who vanish reveal mismatch. Either outcome saves you long-term cost. Train patience as a skill. Desire thrives when it breathes. If you rush everything, you flatten the arc of growth. Allow momentum to build with time, not urgency. Make restraint habitual. Turn it into how you operate, not a tactic. When self-control is your default, relationships form around reality instead of fantasy. That is where durable attraction lives. People test you to find your limits. When you respond with panic, the test becomes a lever against you. Meet tests with measured responses and they stop being tools for manipulation. Keep your cool. Let stressors pass through you without changing your axis. That steadiness tells more truth than any speech. Set boundaries early and enforce them quietly. A clear line removes ambiguity. State expectations once, then behave as if they were agreed. If someone crosses the line, make a proportional correction, return to normal life. Corrections are not punishments, they are recalibrations. Avoid arguing to prove worth. Arguments reward drama and inflate insecurity. Say what needs saying, then stop elaborating. Over-explanation invites re-entry into the chaos. Your first statement should be decisive enough that repetition is unnecessary. Turn consequences into routine, not spectacle. People respect predictability. If absence means reduced access, make that pattern consistent. When the consequence is reliable, games end quickly. Inconsistency is what keeps patterns alive. Don't confuse tolerance with empathy. You can be humane and still maintain limits. Compassion and firmness coexist. Offer understanding when behavior aligns with effort. Withdraw understanding if behavior remains unchanged. Keep communication short and actionable. Use plain language that cannot be twisted into debate. Avoid emotional qualifiers that beg for reassurance. Clarity removes room for misinterpretation and speeds up accountability. Test reactions with small demands before escalating. Ask for a simple courtesy and observe the response. Small behaviors reveal long-term tendencies. Use those moments to decide whether to invest more or retract support. Reward alignment with access. When someone shows up, therefore you reciprocate in kind. Reciprocity should be visible and proportional. Celebrate reliability by widening your circle for those who prove it, tighten it for those who fail. Model emotional regulation instead of preaching it. Show how you handle stress with minimal drama. Your behavior becomes the template for how interactions proceed. People adapt to the strongest signal, be that signal. Avoid vindictive silence. If you withdraw, do it to preserve peace, not to inflict suffering. Let absence be a neutral test that provides information rather than a weapon that breeds resentment. Neutrality yields clarity. Practice consistency in small things. Time, promises, follow through. The compound effect of reliable microactions builds trust faster than words ever can. Trust is earned through repetition, not declarations. Refuse to negotiate dignity. If someone asks you to lower standards, the answer is no. Standards protect your future self. Compromise on logistics is reasonable. Compromise on values is a trap. Expect tests but don't be defined by them. A capable person faces trials and remains intact. Your identity is not the outcome of someone else's experiment. Stand in that truth. Finally, remember discipline is attractive. Self-command signals capacity for leadership, partnership, and resilience. When you hold your line calmly, people either rise to meet it or step away. Both outcomes are useful. Either you gain a reliable partner or you free yourself from someone who never intended to stay. Silence is an instrument you learn to play with intent. It stops cheap noise and creates a field where signals matter. When you withhold immediate reaction, you force the moment to clarify itself. People reveal who they are when you stop filling the gaps. Use quiet to expose patterns, not to punish. When a pause is neutral, it becomes a test of consistency. If she steps forward, she proves presence. If she retreats, she clarifies priorities. Either information saves time and emotion. Be deliberate with pauses. A measured gap after a text or a meeting isn't avoidance. It's calibration. It shows you value context over impulse. It tells others that your attention is not an automatic default. It is allocated. Make silence intentional, not manipulative. Withhold only to observe, not to create insecurity. Your goal is discernment. Your absence should illuminate behavior, not engineer suffering. Keep the motive clear in your mind and the delivery clean. Let quiet act as a filter. Patterns are easier to read when space exists between interactions. Habitual inconsistency becomes obvious. Sincere alignment rises to the top. When your presence is conditional on mutual effort, you cut through ambiguity. Silence can be generous. It can give someone room to breathe and think. It can allow emotions to settle and clarity to form. When conversation heats, retreat for a beat. Return when both parties can engage without escalation. That return is where real communication begins. Avoid silence that is passive-aggressive. If you disappear to punish, you lose dignity. Use absence to gain perspective, not to score points. Be ready to re-enter with calm questions and direct requests. Silence followed by clarity is powerful. Silence followed by a cold shoulder is petty. Let your quiet be part of your language. Sometimes a look, a steady posture, or a single sentence carries more weight than paragraphs of justification. Reduce verbosity. Replace explanations with presence. Demonstrate consistency with actions rather than long speeches. Silence also curbs rumor in your own head. When you stop inventing narratives, you stop spinning stress. A restrained mind interprets events with fewer distortions. That translates into better choices and fewer impulsive errors. Train your timing. Silence is a tool that needs practice to use well. Start with small pauses and note the results. Adjust duration based on clarity you receive. Over time, you learn the rhythm that reveals character faster than interrogation ever could. Remember, silence compels honesty. Many people will step into that space with truth. Others will fill it with excuses. Both outcomes are useful. Truth earns access. Excuse signals misalignment. Finally, treat silence as respect for yourself. By not answering every ping, you enforce your own priorities. You preserve mental bandwidth for things that matter. That discipline is contagious. People match the standards you set. When you speak again, your words land with weight. When you stay quiet, you listen. When you listen, you actually hear. And when you hear, you decide with precision. Purpose. Decide for yourself who you become, and let that decision guide every relationship. You are not a placeholder in someone else's life. Act like a full person first. Shape your days around purpose, not pending replies. When you orient around meaning, choices become obvious and desperation fades. Build a life that rewards your presence whether she is in it or not. Invest in health, craft, friendships, and goals. These investments compound into an identity that no text can cheaply alter. When your calendar is full of real commitments, your attention earns value because it is finite. Choose partners who enhance that life, not disrupt it. A worthy person integrates, respects schedules, and contributes to mutual momentum. If a relationship forces you to disassemble growth, it is a tax on your future. Reject that tax and move toward alignment. Led with standards that reflect who you are. Standards are not punishments. They are declarations of worth. They tell people how to treat you. Stick to them consistently. Consistency in standards shapes the culture of your life and filters out those who do not belong. Own your decisions without apology. When you set limits or walk away, do it with calm. Explanations are rarely required. Your life decisions are signals, not invitations to debate. If someone needs convincing, they were never a match for the clarity you demand. Measure people by steady actions over time. Look for rhythm and repeatability. Flashy moments and intense speeches are cheap. The reliable person shows up when it matters. Trust builds from repeated delivery, not theatrical gestures. Reward alignment with more access and affection. When someone demonstrates care, widen your circle. When they fail to meet simple expectations, contract your energy. Treat generosity like a privilege you grant, not an entitlement others take without thought. Cultivate independence as a daily habit. Practice making choices that prioritize growth. Train yourself to be comfortable alone. When solitude does not scare you, dependency dissolves. Independence is a muscle you develop by carrying responsibility for your life. Let desire follow dignity. When you refuse to demean yourself for attention, you elevate your position. People respect those who keep standards because standards imply value. Desire naturally orients toward those who refuse to be diminished. Practice clean exits. When the fit is wrong, leave without spectacle. Maintain composure while disengaging. Preserve relationships that deserve history and discard those that are draining. Exit strategy is part of maturity. Refuse to be defined by rejection. Loss is data, not identity. Learn quickly, adjust standards, and move forward. The more you choose from abundance, the less rejection wounds you because you are never reduced to a single outcome. Become the person who chooses consistently. Make selection an act of sovereignty. Your life will attract what matches it. When you decide first, fewer things distract you and more things align. That clarity is freedom. Live by it. Hold fast to this path and watch authentic connection arrive without frantic pursuit. Steadily. Hold fast to this path and watch authentic connection arrive without frantic pursuit. Subscribe for more insights on mastering self-worth and attraction.